Hello there, welcome back to another video. It's going to be a good one. We're talking about KPIs, aka Key Performance Indicators. I'm going to show you how we use them in our business. The way I think about it is you've got your marketing spend, you're spending X amount of money, and then you're looking at your return. You know, how much are you getting out of the dollars that you've spent? But in between these 2 points, your marketing budget and the total amount of sales, there are KPIs in between. So these are certain parts that we can measure to track the success of the campaign, which then allows us to diagnose what parts we need to fix, what parts we need to improve, what parts are working really well. And another reason this is really important is because people overcomplicate the shit out of this. And I've worked alongside other ad agencies and they take people for a ride. And the reason they take people for a ride is because they concentrate on vanity metrics. And we think of vanity metrics as things like reach, sometimes clicks, impressions. You know, when you open up your Facebook dashboard, there's so many metrics you can get. But the reality is, hardly any of those matter. So we're going to talk about the ones that we focus on, and then we're going to just ignore the rest, because in my view, these are the most important. So this is what they are: cost per lead, cost per qualified lead, and cost per acquisition. So cost per lead, this is how we define it, is how much you pay to get someone to opt in. So how much are you paying basically for someone to exchange their permission to contact them in the future for the value that you're giving them. So if you're giving them a free guide or a free download, so how much are you willing to pay to get someone's information? For us, we're willing to pay between $5 and $15 for a lead. So what we've done is we're working backwards from the final sale. So at the moment, our program is $4,000. So if we're starting right back at the start, we're willing to pay between $5 and $15 to get someone's email, to get them into our world. Next, we have the cost per qualified lead, which is basically, we define as someone with the intent to buy. So that's when you're having a chat with someone who knows it's a sales call, who knows they need help, and that you may be the solution. So that's how we would define qualified lead. And we're willing to pay between $100 and $300 per qualified lead. And the next one, cost per acquisition. How much are we willing to spend to acquire a client? And we have between $500 and $1,000. So because our program is $4,000, we don't want to pay any more than $1,000 to acquire a client. So all we really need to measure are these 3 things: cost per lead, cost per qualified lead, cost per acquisition. So what we do is we check these every day. So we look at how much we've spent on our ads, we look at how many leads have come in, we look at how many calls we've got booked, and we look at how many sales we've got. And then over the month, we get an average. So we can see how the month went, and it works really, really well. I'm going to give an example of exactly what we've been paying per lead and the qualified lead and acquisition. But there's one more thing. I shouldn't probably be using my jersey for this. There's one more thing, which is even more important. You know, back in the day, the Polynesians were sailing from friggin' Noumea to New Zealand, and people were navigating all around the world, and they were using only the stars. And they would always have a north star, so they always knew which way was north, which meant they knew which direction to go. We think of this in our marketing. So the northern star, the thing that always guides our marketing, is the return on investment. So we want to know how much money we spent on marketing and what was the return that we got from that. So in order to calculate that, we need to work out, let's say we made $1,000. We made $1,000 in a month. And we spent $100 on ads. So we'd go $1,000 minus $100, and then we go divided by $100, and that will give us our return on investment. So that's the total sales that we got minus the ad spend of $100, and then we divide it by 100. So what that means is we go 900 divided by 1,000, which is a return on investment of 1 to 9. So for every $1 we spend, we're making $9, or you could say 900%. Alrighty, so if we look at our numbers, so this is taken from this month. So at the moment, we're paying $9 for a lead. So remember, we wanted to have that less than 15, so that's good. So that's for someone to opt in into our training, and then they enter our beautiful sales funnel. The cost per qualified lead, how much we're paying to get someone on the phone. I'm not going to lie, I haven't actually worked that out for the month. I've been a bit lazy. But I do have the cost per acquisition. So how much are we paying to acquire a client? In this month, remember, we wanted to pay no more than $1,000. This month, it's been $159 to acquire a client. That is just absurd. And our return on investment this month has been 1885%. So that means for every dollar we spend, we're getting $18 back. So you might be thinking, shit, why don't you just increase the ad spend? Like, if you spend $600 to get $12,000, that's epic. Well, that's our plan, but we have to, every time we start scaling up, we have to keep fixing things. That's kind of why we're making this series, because I want to show the reality of like scaling and where things go wrong. But it's tracking incredibly well. So in some months we've had an ROI of over 4,000, but every single month it's been over 1,000. But the most beautiful thing is the model that we use, the group coaching model, means that the delivery is really easy. So the margins are so high. So it's not like we're making 12,000 and then we have to spend, you know, like 8,000 on the delivery of the product and so forth. The cost of the goods is zero. We've already produced the program. Like, it does take our time in the group coaching calls and some one-to-one, but the margins are just absurd. So that's why I love this model and I'm excited for the future. So everything's tracking well, and remember, all we're focusing on is cost per lead, cost per qualified lead, cost per acquisition, and if we get lost, we focus on our North Star, which is return on investment. Hope that was helpful. It was quite helpful for me, and I've got to keep tracking the numbers. It's easy to get lazy, but this is super important, and fuck, it's good.